So here I am talking about Drake again. I know this is gonna be hard to believe, but I really don't want to talk about Drake that much anymore. I made a whole 3.5 hour long video where he was a focal point of the discussion. I shouldn't have much more to say about him after that. And for the most part, I think I've shown restraint in terms of like how much of my content revolves around Drake, considering that he's easy views. Like I could end the video here, put him on a thumbnail, 100,000 views tops in the next 2 hours, I promise you. But you know, I'm not that shallow, not that money hungry yet. Drake has not, like, at all. And I don't mean tracks like No Face, which I actually enjoyed. I didn't think that was too bad of a song. It's an honest reflection on what it must have felt like to take such a big L publicly, and I thought it was really good. But we've also seen Drake pouting and whining on streams with the likes of XQC and Aiden Ross. There was that incredibly bizarre moment on stage where he rambles about not having any real friends and then plays Beyonce's Me, Myself, and I.
Yeah, that's how life is. But look, sometimes it's you and you alone by yourself. Sometimes it's you alone with your thoughts. Sometimes you know what? Fuck this song.
Then there was that Fighting Irish song, which was clearly written and done during the beef because he still had his cornrows in. And that song, oddly, is just him throwing shade at LeBron James, which is incredibly petty. And then we have the weird crash out Academics had on LeBron James a couple of days ago. And of course, most notably, it's the legal actions he's been taking against his own record label, UMG, as a means to in some way win a rap battle legally when he couldn't win it lyrically. A lot of folks will have already chimed in on this by the time you see it. So I want to shout out those folks, and I'll put some of their videos in the description, but I'm gonna try to offer some particular insight in why I think this is happening from where I stand. And it's gonna be a little bit, well, no, it's probably gonna be exactly what you expect. But I wanna be clear, this is all my personal analysis steeped in my own biases, as everything is all the time when you're talking. For those head ass people that are gonna be in my comment section who think that something, this is biased, everything is biased, idiot. Like nothing that comes out of a person's mouth that is like normal is unbiased. So this is bias, this is my opinion, all right? Also, for those Drake apologists out there, this is not me supporting UMG or any corporate influence on hip hop. A lot of Drake fans tried to make the earlier legal action into some type of righteous crusade that Drake was on, fighting for the little guys in hip hop, even though he's fighting against the same tactics that he himself used to become the biggest rapper in the world and all that. But yeah, that's all the caveats y'all get. I know hip hop conversations in general bring out some of the worst weirdos. Y'all come up with whatever narrative, bad faith interpretation you want in the comments. I really can't be bothered. Now, I do want to recount some of the important details specifically about this newest lawsuit, because it really is beyond the pale of any level of dignity or ethics in the eyes of hip hop. And really, if he were to win this lawsuit, which he won't, but if he were to win, it'd be one of the most harmful things to ever happen to rap music and hip hop culture. Like, never has the phrase "not like us" been so effectively demonstrated in seeing what Drake put in this lawsuit and how it shows a completely selfish disregard for the art form that he purports to love and want to be a part of. Firstly, again, Drake is not suing Kendrick Lamar. He is suing his and Kendrick's record distribution company, UMG. It's not odd that both of them would be under the same umbrella deal, by the way. There are only like 4 real record labels that control all of music throughout the world. So, you know, it's fucked up, but it is what it is. In the suit, Drake accuses UMG of artificially inflating the popularity of Kendrick's diss record, Not Like Us, and saying that they willfully spread the song knowing that it spread the falsehood that Drake is a PDF downloader. Mind you, one, there's no way they could know that this isn't true. Like, nobody knows what these dudes are doing behind closed doors. That's why I don't put anything past anybody. That's just an unfalsifiable statement that will never hold up in court. 2, there's reason to believe it is true. As I and others have talked about before, Drake has a long history of questionable behavior with underage girls. It's all out there for you to see with a quick Google. This is only smoke to the fire, but it kills any idea that this could be defamation. Maybe Drake is going to go with the move where he says he's an ephebophile, which would be hilarious, but there's no way that Drake will get any judge to rule in his favor, considering all the stuff that's out there about him and teenage girls over the course of the last decade plus. Also, in most most frustratingly, it's ridiculous to think that UMG artificially inflated the popularity of this song. The song was an immediate smash hit and cultural moment as soon as it arrived on airwaves. The very night Not Like Us came out, which was a Saturday night, it was being blasted in clubs everywhere. That was not artificial inflation, that was what the culture was feeling. In the aftermath, I can imagine that UMG did, as is their job, what they could to increase the song's popularity, which again is something they've done for Drake himself numerous times, but to call it artificial as if this wasn't a natural happenstance is nonsense. What's worse is that in this particular aspect of the accusation, he implicated multiple predominantly black content creators and React streamers on YouTube in the suit. He puts the thumbnails of these prominent black creators like Kai Cenat and RDC World in the actual lawsuit and says that UMG whitelisted the song so that they didn't get copyright claims as they reacted, as if this isn't something that Drake also did for his songs. Thankfully, the suit isn't naming them as explicit targets for legal action, but make no mistake, naming them and putting them in the suit is an attack on hip hop media as a whole. The idea that a record label could get sued for publishing and promoting a song that says something negative about another rapper is an attack on hip hop at its very core. And the idea that you would name journalists in your lawsuit for just doing their job is low-key worse, at least from our perspective. Hip hop was built out of genuine African traditions of boasting, rhyming, and cracking on others that have been around for centuries in African art and literature. Rappers have always joked and dissed each other. It's always been competitive. You can rightfully argue that the ways in which that competitive tradition has changed in the last 20 years maybe haven't always been that good. I would agree with that. And there is definitely a modern problem with dissing your ops and how that spills out into real life street violence in some cases. But this is not one of those cases, and those cases are historically incredibly rare. Drake then goes on to say the song made him feel like a target for harassment and states that on multiple occasions he's been targeted with violence as a result of this song. One situation we do know publicly, which was the shooting that took place at his mansion, if not the night the song came out, then the night following. But he also mentioned multiple events since then. We don't know much about these events, and I don't want to wish violence upon anyone, to be clear, but we also just have to take Drake's word that these acts of violence toward him are the result of this song, as opposed to the years of grimy, low-key criminal activity that Drake has been connected to in Toronto. These are things that I won't get into, but again, feel free to do a few Googles. Drake has not been a clean guy for a while. I could go on, but I will leave the real analysis of the legal aspects of this to the experts on the topic. What I want to do instead is ask the question, why is Drake like this? Why is Drake the type of nigga to lose a rap battle and then file a lawsuit? Why has he struggled so mightily to get over this and not just drop some new music? Understand, hip hop and black culture is like most westernized cultures in that we are very forgiving to popular and talented men who take L's and or get caught doing harmful things to women and girls. R. Kelly, who is now a convicted predator, was known to be a predator for a decade before he went to jail and barely suffered at all from it. I just did a whole video on Diddy, and you already know that story. There are people still caping for Bill Cosby, Trey Songz, Chris Brown. I can probably name a ton of other black entertainers who have been confirmed predators or abusers, and while many did suffer somewhat due to their crimes, very few fully lost their careers, especially the talented ones who were able to make good new things after their incidents. So if Drake would just come out with good music in these last 10 months, we'd have mostly been over it by now. He could have been doing TikTok dances again. Instead, Drake has made almost no music and has mostly made being angry and bitter about this battle the whole of his public persona. And even if that was just the extent of it, I probably wouldn't be making this video. But the legal actions and ramifications of them are so beyond, so awful in their implications that it's genuinely a huge threat to the culture and art form of hip hop. And I need to understand why. Why is this crash out happening? How can we make sense of it? The best I've come up with comes from a conversation I had with a family member, shout out to you, you know who you are, that while not perfect in its application of sociological theories, you'll see why in a second, makes too much sense not to share. Drake is a beta.
Everyone, boo this nigga.
I know, stop, I know. I'm sorry. Yes, the concepts of alpha males and beta males and all that stuff with wolves is very much pseudoscience. This analysis is not to be taken as law or credence to those ideologies, but they are useful for making sense of this particular frame of behavior and labeling real things using understandable terminology, even if the terminology itself is not based on reality. All right, so there's your disclaimer. Drake is a beta. Drake has always been a beta and always will be a beta. But like many beta males, Drake aspires to be seen and exist as an alpha. He wants the esteem and respect and power that he perceives alpha males to have. Alpha males like a LeBron James, a man that he got tattooed on his body. If you analyze Drake's career through the lens of him being a beta male, it actually makes so much sense of his behavior. Drake's always been a tryhard, always been deeply insecure, always been a suck up to whoever he thinks has more power and status than him. And significantly, he's always been either incredibly jealous, incredibly dismissive, or incredibly petty to other men who he feels he is or should be above. This is why he is so comfortable stealing from other smaller artists, either in the form of taking their styles or aesthetics or literally stealing their music. This is why up until he was above guys like Kanye and Joe Budden, etc., he would always say he was their biggest fans and he loved them so much and he wanted to be like them. And ooh, Lil Wayne, ooh. Find that clip.
Oh, Lil Wayne, he's just too good.
We gotta give Wayne the love.
He's just too good.
It's why he went through that weird period in the 2010s where he would be at every sports game, sports arena, wearing a different jersey of whoever the most popular team was at the time. It's why when he was with LeBron on LeBron's barbershop show on HBO, it felt like LeBron was talking to his son. It was weird. It's also why his whole posture and behavior as he's been legitimately on top of the rap game just felt weird and forced and insincere. Drake is an insecure beta man-child, but he isn't untalented and definitely isn't hardworking because he is so driven by the insecurity that it drove him literally to the top of the music industry. But even when at the top, when you're listening to Drake's music the last decade or so, it's mostly about him being beta. It's about him not feeling comfortable, not having real friends, feeling like people don't respect his position. And to be honest, he's right. A lot of people don't and will never respect him because we smell the beta on him. The vibes have always been off. It's because Drake has always been imitating what being a top guy is actually supposed to look like and feel like that people never respected him at the level he probably earned. It's why he acts like a groupie when he's around real top guys, real alpha males like LeBron or Jay-Z or multiple other figures. You can see the difference and you see it reflected in the type of people, especially men, who love and follow Drake to the death. Drake surrounds himself with fellow betas that are just under him. People like academics and Aiden Ross who are willing to debase themselves in order to court favor with men they see as powerful and dominant. Drake's hardcore fan base of stans are the most beta men in all of existence. Whether they realize it or not, they identify with Drake because they love him as their beta messiah. Lizan Al Gal, what the fuck is that guy's name? Damn it, you're gonna use the meme on me again, aren't you? Listen, I've been saying this about Caleb Williams the whole time, but I actually don't know the real, fuck. They are attracted to that energy, and in their view, Drake did exactly what they wished they could do. Work hard enough to be on top, just like the alphas, even if you know deep down inside, you're really not like that. This is also why Drake grievously underestimated Kendrick and why he cannot accept or recover from how badly Kendrick whipped his ass in this battle. Kendrick is he's basically a Sigma male. I'm ruining my career. Drake is ruining my career on accident. Kendrick is really a non-participant in the alpha beta paradigm that Drake operates in. He has his own standards and needs. He's not a dick rider. He's not super interested in fame. He's art focused, community focused, legacy focused. And Kendrick didn't run around chasing every trend and kissing everybody's ass to stay popular. And he still got to the top of the music industry the same way Drake was. But to Drake's beta mind, Kendrick can't ever really be on his level and can't ever really possibly affect him, or at least that's that's what he had to have thought when this battle started. And you can really tell that he thought that he had Kendrick automatically because he kept egging him on. He kept on saying, drop, 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 and nah, you ain't gonna back down. And he really thought after he'd released Family Matters that he was about to go on vacation. He ends that song with "You're Dead" on repeat. He thought it was over based solely on status and whatever beta mindfuck he had did to himself to not realize who he was dealing with. And there's a part of me that's so confused with how dumb that strategy is that every once in a while I stop myself and wonder, is this some type of ridiculous 4D chess move that nobody is seeing, that somehow after damn near a year the outcome might change? But then I look at what's actually in front of me and I look at all the evidence I see and don't see, and I see a dumb jock that can't believe some nerd got voted homecoming king or some shit. Like that's literally the mentality. That's Drake's mentality, his fans' mentality, whatever. This is why Drake's been whining and pathetic the last 6 months, why he's acting like a victim when he's very much responsible for everything he's been going through, from the bad behavior to the bad strategy to underestimating his opponent and getting embarrassed. So now, with all of the alpha male imitation elements gone, stripped away from him, Drake goes into his white, not very hip hop roots and starts suing people to regain some semblance of status and power. My theory is his ultimate goal is to make sure Not Like Us is not performed at the Super Bowl, which would be the most amazing thing ever to happen in the history of rap beef, but would be an incredible L, like bigger than all the ones he's taken thus far possibly. But instead of just taking that L, which so many rappers before him have done, including Drake himself, he's now made his L everyone's problem. He's threatening to make it so record labels are responsible for the content of the music they just published, which means they'd be far less likely to support all but the most bland of rap music for fear of getting sued. He's making it so content creators like myself will be muzzled and scared of legal action just for voicing opinions. I'm not a lawyer, but if I know anything about defamation from my minimal experiences in media over the last couple of years, I know that it's incredibly hard to win a defamation case as a public figure, especially against a giant corporation like UMG. So I don't expect any of this to ever legitimately be a problem for anyone long term, but it's the principle. It's the idea that this was the move he decided to take. It's the most un-hip hop thing to ever happen in the history of the culture, done by the man that many of y'all called the GOAT, that one artist of the decade, and some of y'all call your favorite rapper. It's really, really sad. I'll end by repeating what seems to be my claim to fame now, my most viral statement in the history of Twitter. If Drake is your favorite rapper, you're probably a loser. But I want to add now, with hindsight, that I realize if you're the type of loser to look at Drake's behavior and not see any problem with it, you're probably so much of a loser that you have no clue how bad you look to anyone else who has sense around you. So in that regard, you are just like your favorite rapper. I'm FD Signifier, and this has been Light Work.